Hello everyone and welcome to Sun Up. I'm Lyndall Stout. We're joined first thing this morning by Dr. Maira Duffeck, our OSU Extension field crops pathologist, and we're talking about some disease that's been spotted in corn. Maira, tell us kind of what you're seeing and where.
So in the last weeks, from 2 to 3 weeks, we start to see very frequently across the corn fields in Oklahoma the presence of a disease that's not unfamiliar for the corn growers, but is always good a reminder. That is southern rust. So southern rust is this disease that produces these pustules on top of the leaf. They are very bright orange when it's in the beginning and also turn to some red brick color, more dark color in the end of the season. So as you may see here in this leaf. So these pustules can be heavily dense packed in the leaf. Something interesting about this disease is that the pustules is going to be seen just on the upper side part of the leaf, but if you turn on the other side, we don't have the production of pustules. We just have this yellow halo that's produced because of the production of pustules in the upper part of the leaf, but not in the lower part of the leaf. And this is a good diagnostic characteristic because we have another disease that's also commonly observed in the corn fields across Oklahoma, that's common rust. And common rust produces pustules in both sides of the leaf. So you can have most of the time both of the disease together, but common rust is not going to affect yield or cause any yield decrease in your fields. But southern rust, in the other way, is very aggressive, is what we call an explosive disease, and if it's not managed correctly, it can take your field very quickly, especially in the conditions that we are observing right now in Oklahoma. That's temperatures above 80 degrees Fahrenheit and also have relative humidity, especially like the heavy dews that we have in the morning accumulated in the leaves can also favor the conditions for the disease development.
So the important thing now is to get out and scout, I understand, and then are you seeing it in corn that's a little bit more mature or more this corn that's later planted or later varieties?
Yeah, so the growth stage for the corn when this disease reaches the field is very important because it's going to determine if the growers need to take action regarding management or not. So in Oklahoma, most of the fields that are planted early in the season, such as in March, April, they are in a growth stage right now that's past the time that we need to protect the leaves. They are already like in the senescence growth stage and the maturity growth stage. But we need to be concerned about the fields that are planted a little bit later because the growers could not get in the fields because of all the rain that we receive, or the double crop corn that's also in the fields right now. So in these fields, we need to be doing like a heavily scouted in these fields to determine if we need or not the application of foliar fungicides. For foliar fungicides, we know that the best time to apply these fungicides in the field is when the plants reach the R1 growth stage, that is when they're tasseling or silking, until R3, that's when they are milking. So from this R1 to R3, we recommend a fungicide application is always going to be beneficial in case you're seeing this in neighbors across the state or in your own field. Is going to be beneficial, but in case it passes that growth stage, we do not recommend application of fungicide anymore because it's not going to be profitable for the growers.
And you're asking for growers to, if they need some help identifying these, especially since the two, may be confused, right, the two diseases. What's the best route to do that and get samples to you?
Yes, so the growers can contact the extension educators in their counties. They are the best resource that they have to send the samples, and then these extension educators can easily deliver those samples to us at the plant disease diagnostic lab that we have at Oklahoma State University, or also to me directly. So they are the best point of contact that we can have for send sample to us in order to identify this in a correct way.
And we can just talk about it a few minutes today on Sunup, but you've also put out some information online and on the ePest Alert. People can read more and then they can better understand what they're looking for when they're out scouting.
Sure, so we did put, like I think 2 weeks ago, I posted alert about this disease that has more information regarding management or how the growers can track the spread of the disease across the United States, because something important to mention here is that this disease is caused by a fungi that we call biotrophic. So this fungi doesn't survive in the residue as most commonly known pathogens that we have affecting the cornfield. So the spores of this disease need to blow out from other states to the state of Oklahoma every year. And then we can track the movement of those spores in a map that's available at the Crop Protection Network website, where the extensionists across the southern states especially, they keep tracking their fields, and they color the county where this disease was showing up. So we can be better prepared in the state of Oklahoma when, for example, Texas reported, Missouri, or other neighboring states. Then we can see what's the movement of this disease. And also in the Crop Protection Network website, we also have a table for the efficacy of the fungicides that are working right now to manage this disease. So these two are the best resources that we have to manage this disease and to keep track of the dispersion of these spores across the United States.
All right, Dr. Duffeck, thank you very much for the information. And for a link to that ePest Alert and the other materials that Maira mentioned, just go to sunup.okstate.edu.